Good morning. Good morning. Thank you and welcome to our information session about the Boost program. I'm going to give a couple minutes. I know people are coming in. We want to make sure that these are intimate sessions for you to get your questions answered. And so we've already had one. Hopefully you had an opportunity to look at the recording of that. If not, it's still available on our website. In this one, we will also be recording. So please keep that in mind as you ask your questions. If there is something that you want to ask that's a little bit personal, Sam will make sure he provides his information so that you can ask that question following. But thank you for joining us at 8 o'clock in the morning. We know that it's pretty early, but we wanted to do information sessions in the evening and in the morning, just making sure that we can accommodate the various needs. We want this program to work. And so Boost stands for Black Owned and Operated Storefront Tenancy. Hopefully, if you're joining us, you've been able to get some information on it. If not, don't worry, we will go over some of that today and it remains available on our website. I'm Shalonda Stokes, President of Downtown Partnership of Baltimore. I have my partner with me, Sam Story, who you'll also hear from. He's our Director of Economic Development and really, just doing a yeoman's job on this program. And so thank you, Sam, for that. And then we also have who you don't see, Nicole Roars is on our team as well. She's helping manage the tech. And so you may or may not hear her throughout the program. What I'd ask of you is that our agenda today, Sam is going to walk you through the program. I ask that you place your questions in the Q&A box along the way, because we'd like for him to at least get through the program, and then we'll get to the questions after. If you don't have an opportunity to put your question in the Q&A box, or it's something that's a little bit more intricate, please feel free after he finishes presenting to raise your hand, and we will try to unmute your line so that you can ask your question audibly. Okay, so that's how we're planning to start. We are a work in progress, so bear with us as we do this. This is something that we believe is going to make a tremendous impact, not only to downtown, but to the city of Baltimore overall. And just so that you know, Downtown Partnership of Baltimore, we're actually two organizations, but in the essence, we're really responsible for helping keep downtown clean, safe, and vibrant. And what we know is vibrant means including a mix of businesses and helping ensure that our downtown is representative of the demographics of our city. So here is one initiative that we're coming out that we're really excited to talk about. So Sam, I'm going to turn it over to you and take it away.
Yes, thank you so much, Shalonda. Next slide, please, Nicole. As Shalonda mentioned, this program is called Boost, Black Owned and Operated Storefront Tenancy. Through this program, we are seeking to fill vacant storefronts with unique entrepreneurs. These entrepreneurs and their businesses, these entrepreneurs need to present a strong business plan to us. They need to have a broad community impact with their business. They need to have original ideas. And then through this initiative, they need to help support downtown Baltimore's recovery. So this is the big picture about the type of businesses that we are looking for through this program. And I'm going to give some more detail on the process to get there. So why are we doing this now? Well, there are three main reasons why we're considering the Downtown Boost program right now. First, storefront vacancies have increased in downtown Baltimore, as they have increased in towns and cities throughout the country. And we feel that doing our part and proactively addressing storefront vacancies will support our efforts to meaningfully increase safety downtown. And then tying it to Black-owned businesses is actually intentional. Tying this effort to address vacancies through supporting Black-owned businesses is a very intentional step because we know the data shows that Black-owned businesses historically and today have less access to capital at startup and have higher failure rates than their white-owned counterparts. So bottom line, we feel that providing support to Black-owned businesses in downtown Baltimore will both address historical and contemporary racial inequities while also filling storefront vacancies. Next slide, please. The incentives that are going to be available through this program. I know this is probably the slide that the most of the folks here today care about. The main incentive is we are providing up to $50,000 in grants to support businesses build out and operations. These grants are split apart into 3 different uses. So we are providing up to $20,000 to interior build out, $10,000 for exterior build out, for facades and signage, new windows and lighting, that kind of thing. And then finally, through the BGE Energizing Small Business Grant, BGE has agreed to reserve some of those grants for our Boost winners to support operations. In addition to the actual grants, however, we're providing a really robust package of wraparound support as well. Boost winners will receive technical, legal, and accounting support from our local partners. These local partners include the accountant Gross Mendelson and Associates, DLA Piper from the law side, and many, many more. So really some of downtown's best and brightest in all the kind of support categories that a small business would need. We are going to be providing marketing support through DPOB's social channels, websites, and outdoor digital assets, as well as through partnerships with local marketing firms. DPOB staff will be providing licensing, permitting, and other administrative assistance. And this will also be facilitated through a partnership with Baltimore Development Corporation as well. We will be helping to facilitate affordable leases at one of 9 pre-selected storefronts. And then finally, Boost winners will be entered into an ongoing cohort. And this cohort that will meet regularly will provide ongoing support and guidance to Boost winners so that as you build out your business and seek profitability in your new space, you will have a really robust community of support to guide you along the way. Next slide, please. So I just wanted a quick slide on where the storefronts were. Now, the full list of storefronts, including specs and photos, are included in the overview document that Nicole linked to at the beginning of the webinar. So that can give you a lot more detail on what the storefronts are and what their specs are for your needs. But I just want to give an overview of where they are downtown to show you that we are targeting storefronts that kind of represent all that downtown has to offer. So we have storefronts on the west side in the Bromo Arts Market Center area, as well as more on the east side in the Charles Center area. We have small storefronts ranging from under 1,000 square feet, going all the way up to 5,500 square feet. So there's really a very broad range of options through this program. Next slide. To be eligible for this program, you must meet a certain number of requirements. And I will say at the offset, if you question whether your business meets all these requirements, or you see one that you don't meet and would still be interested in having the conversation, please reach out to me directly, and I'd love to continue the conversation. Just because something might look a little off, I'd still be happy to talk to you about Boost and the other grant programs that Downtown Partnership has to offer. So first, you must be operational and registered with the state of Maryland for a year, and you must submit financial documents that speak to that. You must currently have at least 2 employees, including owners. So if you are a business that is co-owned by 2 people, you would absolutely qualify. Owners must be at least 18 years of age. You must plan to operate in an open, activated storefront. So again, we have kind of a broad definition about what retail means, even if you're not, selling clothing in a store, as long as you have a space that is open to the public, that has an activated storefront. I think that's still something that we would love to see. You must currently be operating in the greater Baltimore area. No businesses in this round that are operating outside of Maryland will be considered in this round. You must include all required documentation with the application, and I'll have a list of that on the next slide. And then you must provide proof of your business status of good standing with the Maryland State Department of Assessment and Taxation. All right, next slide, please. So here's the application checklist I alluded to. It's pretty standard documentation that you would have to submit for any grant or loan or even most leases. And so this includes, well, the completed documentation form, and that includes some narrative questions that we'd like you to answer about your business. There's a certification and acknowledgement form at the end of that application. Then we are providing the opportunity to provide matching funds. It is not mandatory that you provide this proof, but in order to kind of show the strength of your concept and your ability to get going in your new location from the get-go, I think this detail would really strengthen your application. Again, provide proof of SStat, status of good standing. This doesn't have to be the full certification. There's a certificate that you can purchase of good standing. You don't need to buy that. You can just take a screenshot when you go online that when it says you're in good standing, that's completely fine for us. You need to submit a comprehensive business plan. For any business that doesn't have a business plan right now, we have a partnership with the Maryland Small Business Development Center, and they have agreed to provide kind of short turnaround assistance to any applicant who needs help compiling a business plan or financial documents for that matter. So if you need any help with those last two items, please don't hesitate to reach out, and I can get you the support that you need there. All right, next slide, please. Timeline. Where are we kind of on this timeline? Well, so 2 weeks ago, we had our official launch. Now we are in that second line there, mid-February, and applications are then due on March 10th. Then throughout the month of March, we will be selecting applicants. And then in April, winners will be announced. So this is just the first round. We expect multiple rounds to happen. If you don't get selected in this round, we encourage you to keep the conversation going. And if you're still interested in applying subsequent rounds. But as you can see, we are eager to get moving with this project and eager to select our winners. So please apply today. Next slide. All right, and that's it. I kind of ran through it quickly. So Shalana, I don't know if you have anything to add, but the line is now open. If you have any questions to submit, feel free to raise your hand and we can call on you, or feel free to put any questions in the Q&A box.
No, thank you, Sam, and thank you all for attending. As you mentioned, you can raise your hand if you have a question or put it in the Q&A box. A couple things I want to add to what Sam talked about. In part of what we're learning throughout this process, we want it to be successful on both ends. So this is not a check the box program. We're not doing it so that we can say, hey, we did something. We really want to make these businesses, your businesses, successful in the process. And in doing that, some of sort of the baseline criteria we have is trying to figure out on both ends how we get something that's growing. As he mentioned, we have a number of partners who are in the very startup phase and can help with that. Like if you have an amazing idea, this program isn't for that, because we want it to win for not only your business, but also for downtown. And so we're trying to figure out how do we at least, pick a median area where they can be supportive on both. As Sam mentioned, though, we are making sure that as we go throughout this process, we're documenting what works, where the challenges are, so that in our next round, if we need to make some adjustments, we're able to do that. I think, part of the strength of this, and, for some of you, I see some friends on the line, but for some of you who know I ran Grable for nearly 20 years, the thought of having something like this to start off would have been amazing. The money is great. But I think part of what we're learning is even more valuable is the cohort model that Sam talked about, that really provides peer growth and learning and all of those things. I remember many a night having these burning questions and not really having anywhere to turn to in here. And so we're trying to make sure that we're pulling all of that into this thing. So with that, I see there's a question, Sam, in the Q&A, and I think I saw a hand raised as well.
Yes. All right. So I will get to Sumaya's question, and then we can unmute Monisha to ask her question as well. So Sumaya asks, thanks so much for the information. What was the name of the organization that helps develop business plans for the applicants? Also, can you choose which storefronts you'd like to apply for? So the organization is called the Maryland Small Business Development Center. They have been a really great partner with us on this project, and they have a long track record of helping small business develop plans, as well as put together their financials and kind of do all the grunt work for building a business. And they're funded by the Federal Small Business Association. Small Business Agency. So yeah, they're federally funded, but it's a local group of folks. And if you email me directly, I can put my email address in the chat box here. I can forward you along to the head of that team. Also, can you choose which storefronts you'd like to apply for? Yes, on the application, there is a spot there to select your preferred storefronts. And so we'd like you to actually indicate at least 3 that are the highest priority for you. And then after you are selected on the back end, then the Downtown Partnership, in partnership with our legal sponsors, will then give you all the support that you need to negotiate the best possible lease at those preferred storefronts. So on the application, you indicate your preference, and then once, if and when you win, then we help you negotiate the leases at those preferences. Shalonda, were you gonna add something?
Nope. I was just Small Business Administration. I said it, but was muted. The SBA, but you were good.
We got there. All right, can we try and unmute Monisha so that she can ask her question? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
So pretty good. Most of the questions you actually just answered, but I did have a follow-up. Is there a way to see the inside of the storefront?
Yes, absolutely. It's a great question. Thank you. So if there's any storefront that you'd like to tour, I would be happy to help coordinate that for you. In addition, on the brochure, it lists all of the contact information for the point of contact for those locations. So if you want some one-on-one viewings, feel free to reach out and schedule that yourself. But I am also happy to be your point of contact. I know people like to coordinate it differently depending on how they're going about this. But if you need any support with that, please just reach out to me, and I can help schedule that. Already from our last session that we had last week, we have a few viewings this week. So brokers, property owners are eager and happy to do that.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And my final question is, where could we find the demographics and like the median income for some of the property areas? Just curious.
Yeah, that's actually a really great question, and I have a lot of that on file, and I'd be happy to follow up and provide that. And it actually makes me wonder if we should be linking to some of that kind of on the website, and it's really great data to include. So yeah, I'd be happy to follow up on that individually with you, and then we'll talk about how we can put that out more publicly to the community. Yeah.
Thank you for helping make it better. We're continuing to evolve it.
Monisha, do you have any other question? Okay, great. So let's move on to Tanya. Hi, I am a fitness trainer and my son does vegan food. We currently operate together in our studio in East Baltimore, same building, but different businesses. Would we qualify? I think I would need some more information on what the concept would be that you would qualify for. Would you be qualifying as one entity? I'm a fitness trainer, my son does vegan food. Yeah, so here, I'll put my email in the chat. Please follow up individually. Like, we can schedule a phone call and we can talk through this in more detail. I know that a lot of these questions, they depend on the unique intricacies of different businesses. So yeah, let's work through that. On first glance, it does sound like it is something that would qualify if you've been operational for a while, if it's something that you're doing in coordination with each other. But let's talk further. It's an intriguing possibility.
It is, and Sam, one of the things I'd like to add to that, one of the things that we're looking for, and I know we used the term, I think in the last session, but it was novel kind of businesses and business ideas as well. So remember, part of the thought is there is a base. I mean, it's downtown, so there's a client base that exists here, but the thought is that we're growing it and looking for things that would make you or your family or friends or anybody also want to come downtown. And so, we liken it to if it was a food place, thinking of this, if you go to Atlanta, you think a slutty vegan, right? But that's one of those places that if you go to Atlanta, you have to go to. How do we start to create those types of places and experiences here? And so we want to help elevate the businesses. And so in that example, Tanya, part of the thought is there an experience or something that you and your son could do together that really elevates the game for downtown? So everybody, you really want to go there and experience something different. So we're really hoping that this is, really a win-win where 1 + 1 is going to equal 5 because everybody, will benefit at the end.
Yeah. Great point, Shalonda. Moving on to George Branch, is the program for just small businesses already in operation, or is it also for startups? It's a great question, George. Thank you. At this time, it is just for small businesses already in operation. As Shalonda said, we are really looking for businesses that we know are going to be successful downtown. And so something that we are really looking to speak to that is your financial performance over the most recent year. We want to be able to know how have you done recently and how can we predict you to do in a new storefront downtown. That said, we would love to talk to you still. The Downtown Partnership offers a lot of benefits and resources outside of the Downtown Boost program that we would be happy to provide to any startup business that you own or that a partner might own. So if there's anything in particular that you need help with that startup business, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you for that. And I don't see any more questions. I'll say a couple things. If you have questions, we'll stay on for a couple minutes, but definitely don't want to hold you at 8 o'clock in the morning if it's, if it isn't anything burning. As Sam mentioned, his contact information is there. Please reach out to him if you have some questions. There is no definitive yes, no on some of these things. We want to do what's going to be best for your organization and for downtown in the process. And so it's building along that. Part of the reason, just to reiterate, that we are not, people have some amazing ideas and want it to work. Our partners, the property owners and all of that are also investing in these businesses. They're, reducing rents, they're doing some things, and everybody wants to do it where we're giving, if everybody gives a little bit, we can make something all together. And so while some of the ideas that we're getting are amazing, we need those to sort of work through the process a little bit so they get through the kinks before we're able to bring them into the Boost program. But there are other initiatives, as Sam mentioned, that we have, and other partners who will help facilitate and support the growth of those type organizations as well. So I don't see, is it a hand raise or does that from before? Oh, I see Olivia. I think she has her hand raised.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I would like to just ask if, like, my business is an existing business. However, there are some developmental ideas that I've had that I've been wanting to grow into. And I see this as an opportunity to now possibly make those changes. So my question is, do you have to apply to this program as to continue in business as you have been doing, or can this be an opportunity to develop and grow into those things that your business has wanted to do, but did not have the, developing support?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic question, Olivia. Thank you. And you're not the first person who has asked us that. I would say absolutely. We would love to have your application. I think in your application, we would still like to see financial documents from your current venture, just to speak to your performance and your concept so far. But if you want to outline in that application, how you would be pivoting through this program into expanding into a new area or something like that, I think that's a completely valid way to go about it. And is actually something that, personally, I'd love to see that, this opportunity of financial and technical support, as well as an affordable storefront, allows you as an entrepreneur to grow and expand and explore new frontiers. I think that's the narrative, honestly, we're trying to tell through this program. So yeah, I would say absolutely. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that did answer my question. Thank you so much.
Great, of course. All right, Shonda, I don't know if you're going to say something. I see another question.
Nope, I saw the other question.
Hi, I find that some of the location rental rates are offering exorbitant fees that I found challenging for my business. Scale, what assistance is being offered to help negotiate an affordable lease? Yes, it's a good question. So we, as I mentioned before, we're partnering with a number of local partners, including our law firm DLA Piper, who will be assisting all of our Boost winners from the beginning with their contract negotiation and with all other legal support they might need. And so after, after winners are chosen, the Downtown Partnership, myself, Shalonda, as well as our legal partners, will kind of put all of our institutional weight on helping negotiate the best possible lease terms that you can get. I wish I could give you some firmer language on what the lease terms would be, what the price is, but that's not going to be possible until the businesses are selected and until property owners have some firmer idea about what the financial performance is from those businesses. So we are hoping that through this process, we will be able to provide the support that Boost winners will need to get the affordable rates that they need to be successful. Yeah. Shalonda, I didn't know if you had anything that you want to add.
No, no, I think you nailed it with that piece. I think the key is the term affordable, and part of what we know is all of that's relative to your business, sales, what you're able to do, length of time you're willing to stay in the lease. And so all of those will be components to be negotiated. But as Sam mentioned, our, part of what we want to make sure we're rallying around with your businesses is a base of support. And so, when you get into this, that we have the legal support to make sure you're not locking into something that is not sustainable.
Then I see we have another question from Lakeisha.
Yep. Hi, Lakeisha. Can you unmute?
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I see that you guys mentioned about cash flow and financial documents. Will any consideration be given in terms of COVID and how businesses were impacted and how they had to pivot, so their financials may be a little wonky or not as stable as they once were or could have been because of COVID?
Yes, absolutely. Consideration is given to that. And yeah, we're not going to go out there saying, well, why weren't your numbers as good as other folks in 2019? That's absolutely not, I think we are very cognizant of the fact that last year was a tough year for all businesses, and in particular, retail businesses. I think that we still want some documentation. And if you want to accompany your application with kind of a narrative explaining your financials from last year to give that context, I think that would be completely valid. But yeah, please know that we completely understand what the market was like last year, and we'll be kind of weighing and judging the documentation as you give us accordingly.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there another hand raise? Oh, that was Lakeisha still. Okay.
Checking. I'm looking in everything. Q&A chat, just making sure we don't have anything before we jump off. I don't see anything there.
Well, I think Olivia might have another question. I see one from Olivia.
Yes, thank you. I was kind of reluctant to ask this question, but I'm gonna put myself out there. I tend to get a little intimidated with these types of applications.
Yeah.
They just, I don't know why, but they just appear to me to sometimes be a little overwhelming. And I don't know if I'm all alone in that area, but that's, that's what I'm putting on the line. So what helps specifically? I mean, I know you've given your email address, but is there a specific chain of help just through the application process? Because I tend to need help. I am challenged with technology issues. Even as I run my business, I'm challenged with technology issues and things of that nature. And I tend to sometimes get overwhelmed by processes like this because of the things that I do not fully know or do not understand. So what help are you giving people in specific help in terms of not so much as having someone to hold my hand through the application process, but where I would feel like really welcomed to get the type of help that I need?
So thank you for asking the question. I see in the chat, people are supporting you in that, because you're absolutely not alone in it. I think part of the reason we even wanted to start this program was because we recognize that, right? In particular, most of the Black businesses that I know, or Black business owners, are first generation. And so we've been trying to learn it and do it along the way. And you do your craft well, and some of these other things, the financial documents, the applications, and all of that stuff can feel extremely overwhelming. It's especially when you've just been trying to sort of make ends meet along the way. And so Sam has been an amazing resource, and we are surrounding Sam with a base to help, because we don't even know what to expect people would need. What I would ask is that you really reach out to him and Sam on your end. I'll make sure, even with Paul's team and all of that, that we're standing by, and to figure out, even if we need to do some one-on-one, or, you know what I mean, just those kinds of things, to be most supportive. But we definitely don't want that to be a barrier between why you apply or don't apply. So we have you on that, or anybody else who needs assistance in there, please. This is why we're doing the program to begin with.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And again, I just want to reiterate Sholanda's message of thank you for stating kind of that feeling, and to Monisha as well in the chat. As Shalanda mentioned, I have been having a lot of conversations with applicants, prospective applicants, people who just want to learn more about it. I'm here as an ongoing resource for you. I'd be happy to have one call, and then if you have trouble doing the application, we can hop back on the phone again. I am absolutely an ongoing resource to you as well as our partners, who Shalanda mentioned, the Small Business Research Center, Maryland Small Business Development Center. There are a lot of really fantastic agencies that have signed on to providing support, not just to our Boost winners, but to our applicants as well. So if you need any help at all, just need any inspiration or support, please reach out to me. Thank you again. I see Sumaya entered another question in the chat. Or in the Q&A. What is the commitment timeline for our finalist winners? Is there a wait list for a finalist winner decides against finalizing the lease? I think that's a very good question. And it would be something that, at least to the second part, I don't know if we necessarily have a policy on what will happen. I think we'll probably set a deadline. Shalana said this project is a work in progress. We will set a deadline after announcing the winners for when leases will have to be signed by. But I think we will be somewhat flexible on that. If there are problems that arise that are unforeseen, I think that will be somewhat forgiving on that end and helping you find the space that is right for you. But yeah, I don't think that there's going to be a 1 month deadline. After this point, you're out. I think that we're going to be willing and eager to kind of work with folks' needs and specific timeline. But we're definitely hoping that leases are signed, that build out begins absolutely by the end of 2021. So I think that's one of the goals, the benchmarks that we're going to be working towards.
Right, and to reiterate, part of what Sam is talking about, the reason we'd love to be able to have these initiated by the end of the year is if there is an opportunity to start another cohort, we'd like to be able to do that, but don't want to do it without, really making sure that this first group is supported, surrounded, and launched in the process. And so, as he said, I think we'll be able to add your question set into now how, the next round of what we're doing in terms of information and building this out, because we will need to determine if people don't lock into a lease in X amount of time frame, at what point we come back to the pool. But I can tell you the goal, though, is if we're working with you, the goal is to work with you to get something that does work along the way. And so our intention, like I said, is not check the box, we had you apply, it isn't that. It's really to help make you successful along the way. And so getting that lease is a part of it. I think the question that was asked earlier in the chat, I think it was Dominic's question, really about rental rates and things, and finding that they're challenging the scale. We recognize, getting a storefront going into retail is challenging in itself, right? The rates, you need to make sure that your sales are exceeding what you're paying every month. And so this isn't an attempt to get you into something that's going to make the business worse. We want it to grow along the way. And so really working through that process to help ensure we're doing that. Any questions? I see Olivia's, I don't know if her hand is up again or if it's still up from the first.
Yes, I'm sorry. My internet
keep coming. That's what we're here for. We have it reserved.
My internet is a little slow today. I wanted to know, you guys may have covered this. I actually sat in on the meeting on the 11th also, but I signed up for both because I knew that I wouldn't be able to get on time for either of them. So I said, well, maybe I'll gain from one what I didn't get from the other. But my concern with the leases, et cetera, are what is the market rate for what types of leases that are going to be available through this program? Because I know that real estate downtown can be very pricey. My business is downtown now, though I did negotiate a really great deal where I currently am. But I know that the rates, because I've looked at trying to venture out before, and the rates alone just take me right back to my current address. So what kind of market value? I mean, are these going to be under market leases, or, what type of leases are we going to be looking at?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, first, I will say that they're going to be under market leases, yes, but there's a range of what those specific numbers are, because there are storefronts in different locations, different parts of downtown, as well as of very different sizes. So for example, there's a storefront on the 600 block of North Howard Street. It's a beautiful storefront, but it's less than 1,000 square feet. And so that is going to be much cheaper to rent per month than 2 Hopkins, for example, which is 3,500 square feet right in the heart of downtown in Charles Center. So there is a range of what the actual prices would be. And if it's something that you want to get a finer point on before you apply, again, I'd be happy to put you in touch with the property owners and the brokers who could start the actual process with you now. And just to clarify at that point, although we imagine the process going that, we will select boost winners and then they will negotiate lease terms with the property owner. If you want to start that conversation now, just to gauge their interest, get a better understanding of what the prices would be. I know we have one interested applicant who's already started the LOI process to get a firmer point on some of those lease terms. I think all of those would be perfectly acceptable before you apply and would be, great, just so that you have more understanding about what is available to you. Yeah, so just to reiterate, there's a wide range of rental prices that I think is going to change based on where the storefront is located and the size of the storefront.
Right, and I'd also like to add part of what has grown, which is great, and I want to credit Downtown Partnership with it, but the number of residents living in downtown has grown to nearly, 40,000 within a 1 mile radius of where we are. And so part of what these, the property owners and all of them are looking for too, is they're looking for, how can I support my tenant base? Is there something that the residents here would love to have? Part of what has also come out of COVID, and I know many of you are experiencing it, is that people don't have to go into work as much as they did anymore. And so people are staying where they live and doing things a lot safer. And so part of what I know a lot of the building owners and property owners here are trying to figure out is, how do we make sure we're creating amenities that people can just walk to? And, and then give access to those bases as well. And that's why when we talk about something that's novel or needed or something, that's in that realm, that's why we have a request for that type of information as well. Did that answer it? Oh, let's see, she's gone. Do any other questions? I'm checking chat, Q&A. Everything in here for everybody. And I know you just mentioned it as well. Please know that the information session from the last time we did this is already online on our godowntownbaltimore.com webpage if you follow the Boost link. So you can see it from the beginning if you missed any of that. This recording will also be included on that piece as well. We want to make sure we're giving as much information as possible. Have to absolutely thank our presenting sponsor, Delali Darasa with Fearless. Fearless came in as our title sponsor, and what makes them so great as a title sponsor, more than just the money that they were willing to put behind it, is the company is like a living testament of what the success could do. Fearless started, was it 12 years ago? I think here, I know that they came downtown with a Tech Connect grant. It's a grant that we did to help, attract technology organizations. And, 12 years later, he's a $40 million organization sponsoring things like Boost. He also has another program that they created called Hutch, with the goal of helping grow 20 to 25 tech businesses. And so you can just see in part of his vision and part of his success model includes that cohort, which is, part of why we want to make sure we're building in all angles and opportunities for success. So if there aren't any other questions, Sam, I think I see something in the chat. Do you think that more upfront rental rates would be important to know to help with financial projections while planning for this joint venture partnership, rather than waiting to negotiate a favorable term that can be built to help the business model? I think we are exploring that as, a way to do it. I think all of this, Dominic, to your point, and part of what we're saying is we're trying to figure out what's going to work best. I think some of these things, it's very hard to figure out because there are nuances that would make the rental rates different. If you're a business that, you know, is something that building owner, property owner is looking for, they have residents up top and really they're looking at a service that they need, they may be more willing to negotiate than, you know, if it was another type business. So it makes it very hard to do these things because it's really going to be on a case by case basis. And that's why part of it is at least us getting in this, but there is no one set way, which is why Sam said for some where that may be more important for them to know up front and do some things, maybe we could make some adjustments there and have those conversations early. And the reason that we want to make sure we're including the information for those properties in there is so that if you want to get a ballpark, and that's an important part of your decision point, that you're able to do that. So we want to figure it out both ways, and what's going to work the best along the way. But I thank you for that recommendation, and all of these things are, you know, things that will continue to evolve and see how we can make it better. So I'm excited that you are excited to apply. We look forward to figuring out how we can make this work. We really do. I mean, can you imagine like what downtown will be and how you'll feel when our downtown looks like our city, right? And just think of places where it's worked tremendously. Think of how Atlanta is now, and you have a number of people wanting to go there. We have tremendous assets here, tremendous people, business opportunities, and I'm gonna tell y'all something. This is totally off script a little bit, but I got in an Uber the other day, and you know, the lady was asking me about, you know, where I'm from. I told her I was from here. She told me she had a very thick accent. And I asked where she was from, and she said DC, but the accent didn't match with DC. Ultimately, she told me she was from another country, but she came here and she started, you know, driving Uber so that she could meet people. And one of the things that she knows is that people in Baltimore, she said, have amazing hearts. She said, I've been all over the world. She said, and people in Baltimore have amazing hearts. I said, well, what makes you say that? And she said, before it was even legal, you guys were hacking, talking about Uber, right? Before Uber and Lyft and all of those things, we were hacking. She said, so anybody who's willing to just get in somebody's car, you know, without anything, you know that you guys must be a trusting group of people. And so, and I thought about that because we did, I grew up and that was a part of what we had to do. We love here. We love hard. You know what I mean? We are, you know, we're Baltimore, and I just can't wait until all of the beauty of what we represent is also on display downtown. So I thank you all. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Nicole, my power team, for helping us along the way. Thank you all for tuning in. You have about, 14 minutes that you've saved, so it didn't go to 9 o'clock, so that you could prepare for your next thing. Please reach out to Sam if you have any questions, comments. Please continue to follow us. We do a series called Downtown Download, where we're trying to make sure we're giving out as much information as we can. Follow us on social media, all of those good things. So all of that information is on our website, godowntownbaltimore.com. Have a good day. Thanks.
Everyone.